Alright, look, so I filed that motion for my partner online. The motion was to get his case dismissed. The rule that we was using was called Superior Court Criminal Rule 48B, okay? Now let me show you right here. DC Superior Court Criminal Rule 48B, okay? DC Superior Court Criminal Rule 48B allows the court to dismiss a case if there is a unnecessary delay in any of these reasons. The reasons are this. If there is an unnecessary delay in presenting the case to the grand jury, you can get your case dismissed. If there is an unreasonable delay in responding to the defendant who filed the motion, you can also get your case dismissed. So if you file a motion, the prosecutor has to respond within 14 days. If he don't respond and that delay is unnecessary, yeah, you can get your case dismissed. Also, if there is an unnecessary delay in bringing the defendant to trial after he has been indicted, you could get your case dismissed, because a lot of cases in DC fall under DC Code 23-1322. What you gotta pay attention is to the 1322, because 1322 means that the case clock on your case for indictment is only 3 months. They have 90 days to indict you from the day that your case started, okay? In this situation, it's telling you that my partner had a case on September the 21st, all right? And then December the 28th, which was past 3 months, which was past 90 days, December 28th, we ended up filing a motion for dismissal because there was a delay in bringing my partner to court, you feel me, and indicting them and going through the process, all right? So right here, I just told you that this rule will get your case dismissed if the delay is unnecessary. If there is an unnecessary delay in presenting the case to the grand jury, now let me tell you what the grand jury is. The grand jury is a process where 24 people come in from DC and they meet with the prosecutor. These 24 people got to listen to the prosecutor, tell them a story about your case and all the evidence they have against you, okay? The prosecutor has to tell these people all the evidence they have against you. And if the 24 people from DC feel like, man, you got enough evidence to indict him and take him to trial, they're going to indict the story. They're going to indict you, and you're going to get an indictment on the mail, and you're going to be indicted on the counts that the 24 people at the grand jury saw fit to indict you on, okay? All right, look. So also this, like I said, we filed DC Superior Court Criminal Rule 48B. The prosecutor has 14 days to respond to a motion filed by you. In this case, the prosecutor responded the next day, okay? So if he didn't respond within 14 days and the delay was not unnecessary, we could have got the case thrown out. But right here, they're saying that, this motion was honored and granted and approved because the delay is actually reasonable. And they're saying that the reason that they cannot indict the case right now, the reason is reasonable. It is not unnecessary. The court remains under an ongoing judicial emergency, okay? Judicial emergency. And grand jury resources, the grand jury proceeding, and that whole process have been limited due to the COVID-19 health crisis. All right? Now, because the defendant fails to make any showing of a lack of prosecution. Look, the defendant fails to make a showing of a lack of prosecution for a reason that's unreasonable. All the reasons we have why we haven't indicted him are reasonable. The delay is reasonable because we cannot bring together 24 people in a grand jury proceeding. All right, it's COVID going on. So basically you saying in order to prosecute you and send you to jail, you want us to bring 24 people together in DC and harm their life and harm their health with COVID-19 just to prosecute you. No, our reason is reasonable. So we're going to file this motion back against you. And that's what the prosecutor did the next day. He didn't take 14 days. He responded the next day and he opposed my motion because the prosecutor is the opposition. You oppose when you're the opposition. Okay? The opposition opposed my motion for dismissal because the reason in the delay is reasonable. It isn't unreasonable that there's a delay in the prosecution because they can't bring the 24 jurors together to hear the evidence against my partner because of COVID. So all the reasons why you haven't been prosecuted is reasonable. Okay? So look, let me show you something. You see in thick bold letters, wherefore it is on the 7th day of January, it is ordered that the defendant's motion is dismissed and denied, okay? And you see that signature right there? That's the judge's signature, okay? Now, when I filed my motion, it looked just like this, and at the end it said, wherefore it is ordered that the defendant's motion is granted. And it said it is ordered, right? But right here, where the signature goes for the judge, he didn't sign my motion. He didn't grant my motion. He didn't approve my motion. But when the prosecutor filed his motion, the prosecutor opposed my motion. And now we are litigating. Don't forget, in court, the fight is litigating. I'm litigating, okay? So I litigated my motion. Boom. I put my little motion in there with the case law and all that. You know what I'm saying? And the prosecutor, he opposed my motion because he's the opposition. And when he litigated back and he opposed my motion, the judge granted and honored and ordered his motion. And that's why the judge signed this motion. And that's why it's a signature on the prosecutor's motion. And there is no signature on my motion. Okay? All right. So the judicial branch is under a health crisis. They cannot bring together a grand jury to indict your story. So the reason is reasonable. All right? And that's what it is. So also, let me show you this one thing to make sure you understand how to file the motion. All right, look. The defendant's motion lacks these things. The defendant was presented on charges of an unlawful possession of a firearm on September the 21st. All right? The court remains. Hold on, let me show you. All right, look, here you go. The defendant fails to make a showing of a lack of prosecution for any unreasonable delay in the indictment of this case. All right? Nor does he allege any prejudice. You feel me? So basically, prejudice is an unnecessary delay. All right? So the defendant doesn't have any prejudice. He isn't going through any hardships while it is a delay with COVID, all right? So the reason of the delay isn't prejudice, and he isn't going through anything that's making it difficult for him while we have him on pretrial, all right? So he isn't having any hardship resulting from the pendency of this case. So his motion must be denied, all right? Also, it was something else. Here you go, look. All right, so look, it says right here. A dismissal for one of a prosecution. You want to get prosecuted and we haven't, so you're trying to get a dismissal? Man, that's cap. The only people who should be trying to dismiss a case for the one of prosecution is the judicial branch, which would be the court. Because if there was an unnecessary delay in prosecuting you, that means the prosecutor is in non-compliance. If the prosecutor is in non-compliance, the prosecutor is showing prejudice against the defendant because the delay is unreasonable, all right? The only person who should be trying to get a case dismissed is the judicial branch. Because if the judicial branch finds prejudice, they should be the ones dismissing the case. You feel me? That's what they trying to say. A dismissal for one of prosecution should be used sparingly and only for purposes consistent with the role of the courts. A dismissal without prejudice, just because of frustration and you blown because the difficulty in the administration of the calendar of the controller of the court is counterproductive. That's cap. You know what I'm saying? And that is not the purpose of Superior Court Criminal Rule 48B. And not only that's not the purpose for this rule, I got a case law showing you that it's been granted before. And it's the reason that the judge need to shoot you down. Because right here, in 1973, you need to see that the United States was going against Cummins, all right? The prosecutor for the United States was going against Cummins. And I guess Cummins tried to file a dismissal too about the same thing. But because there was no prejudice, he couldn't get off like that. And this the case law supporting that. So if you're trying to get your case dismissed and there wasn't no prejudice, and you just blown because of how long it's taking on the calendar, that's counterproductive, and that's not the reason for this motion, Superior Court Criminal Rule 48B. Yeah, and we got case law to support it, that's how it go. So if the judge forgot, don't forget, it's a slippery slope. It happened once before in 1973, and it's gonna fly this time because y'all let it happen before. And that's how case law work, okay? So yeah, motion has been dismissed because there was no prejudice in the delay. There is no unnecessary delay in indicting Soldier. And that's what they saying. So I hope you understand that, all right?